This is three of many.
Yes.
So would you like to share your long-term relationship with Three Best?
Three Best Rated came into my life when I needed it the most. That was the year. From 2017, we've won Three Best Rated employment, business, the lawyer. My very first matter was a family.
Thank you for taking the time to interview with me today.
Absolutely.
So we're here because you've won another set of awards from Three Best.
Yes.
So this is three of many.
Yes.
So would you like to share your long-term relationship with Three Best and how you feel about this?
Three Best Rated came into my life when I needed it the most. That was the year I bought the firm. I didn't know what I was doing. That was 2017, and all of a sudden, a very reputable company such as Three Best Rated provided me with information that I had won Three Best Rated employment. And that was the beginning of many. From 2017, we've won Three Best Rated employment, business, civil litigation, family, and wills and estate back to back from 2017 to date.
That's amazing.
So I'm super grateful to them, super grateful to their leadership, super grateful to the credibility and the legitimacy that they have provided to Susan Smith lawyers and all the lawyers working in the firm.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, Charles, so we do a lot of family law
Yes, we do.
matters here.
Yeah.
Would you like to share your experience with high conflict divorce cases?
Thank you. I want to go back a little bit to the beginning of my career back in 2013 as an American student and 2014 as a lawyer. My very first matter was a family matter.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I'm going to tell the story of that very first one. Was a story that involves my client who was married to the ex-wife for over 50 years. My client was the breadwinner. They have one child together, and then the ex also had a child outside of the marriage before they were married. That file opened my eyes to so many things. I was introduced to the world of property division, spousal support, child support, custody, and all whatnot. It was high conflict. And I realized that high conflict divorces were no fun, especially for the parties involved. The children suffer the most because of the constant conflict between the divorcing parents. It's costly. Situations that would require consensus and an agreement would drag on for years. Sometimes it takes way too long to resolve multiple court applications because both parties cannot see eye to eye on the simplest of issues. It was a good experience in the sense that I learned, that world of high conflict divorces. At the same time, I realized that both parties ignoring their sentiments and the way they feel about each other and being objective about the expectations, being realistic about outcomes and putting the children first. All of these make conflict divorces a little more manageable and less costly.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you spoke about learning about property division in this matter.
Yes.
So how would you help a client navigate complex property division matters during divorce?
Absolutely. Again, this case was an eye-opener in complex property division scenarios. I remember my client giving me 7 boxes of documents to go through. Imagine unraveling 15 years of marriage that involved a lot of property acquisitions, divestment of property. It wasn't fun, to put it lightly. It was complex. What I learned, though, was being on the same page with the client. You got to let the client know right from the beginning that this is going to be complex. It's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Require the client to be patient with the process. Ask the client to provide all disclosures necessary. Disclosures make a lot of difference when it comes to property divisions. Both parties need to know what they own and the valuation of what they own. Once all of that is put together in a property chart, everybody could visually interface with the properties and the valuation of the properties. It makes the division easier. And it's also important to let clients, be a little less sentimental and emotional about the process and look at the numbers. What does this number say in terms of this property? Sometimes there might be issues with exemptions. Exemptions would apply to properties acquired before the marriage, properties gifted by third parties during the marriage, insurance damages, or inherited properties. If you are representing a client who has exemptions, you have to work with the client to provide proof of those exemptions.
Yes.
In law, they call them tracing documents. Your client needs to be able to provide you with the documents that support any claim for properties acquired before the marriage. Once you do that, you also have to provide proof of the value of the properties entering into the marriage and remaining in the properties at the time of division. These are complex areas that a lawyer should be careful walking their client through, and the client in turn should provide supporting evidence to justify the exemption claims. So exemption seems to be one of the high points in complex property divisions. Another aspect of complex property divisions will be dissipation, when a spouse intentionally dissipates assets. Dissipating assets means a spouse is either selling off assets without the consent of the other spouse, or intentionally undervaluing or causing a property to lose value. Simply to get at the other spouse or to gain an undue advantage. Those two areas need to be carefully looked at with supporting evidence and less sentiment and more objectivity.
And in the best interest of the children.
Yes. At the end of the day, interest of the children would come first, but that mostly comes in the scenario of custody determination. But when it comes to property, it's really about the numbers.
Okay. Thank you so much, Charles. And the last question on family: what advice do you have for individuals considering divorce in Calgary?
I have a lot to say to them. First, prioritize conversation and negotiation first over adversarial litigation. I would always recommend to my clients to go back to their spouses and see how much they can resolve between themselves before involving lawyers. That would reduce a lot of cost. Sometimes some of these issues could be resolved by both parties just sitting down together and say, look, this is what's happening. Here's what I think about this. What do you think? With that process, some of those issues are narrowed. Maybe if they had 10 issues, only 3 issues are not resolved. Then they can bring those 3 issues to a lawyer, and the lawyer will help them negotiate. Sujan Smith, we always prioritize negotiation versus adversarial process. We go to court only when we must go to court. We're not shy of going to court.
Not at all.
No, we're not shy of that. However, we prioritize client cost-saving opportunities. And if we run out of those opportunities, then we have to go to a judge and deal with it. So I would recommend divorcing spouses to talk to each other, see how much they can resolve between themselves. And if they reach an impasse, then they can talk to lawyers. And when they come to lawyers, including us, we would also prioritize negotiation before we go to court.
That's fantastic, Charles.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.